Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about another big-time victory at home in the home finale for the Louisville football program here tonight on From the Pink Seats podcast. Jacob Lane, producer Keith Vince Lococo alongside tonight. We'll get into the game field, all of the positives to take away because we called this, right? We knew this was coming, the best performance of the year for Louisville football. We'll break it all down tonight. Vince's game notes. We'll go around the ACC in 60 seconds, and we'll get into a pretty active Sack King race this week. We got a new leader. So we'll get into all that tonight from the Pink Seats podcast. Roll the intro.
I mean, this is just a bad ball, and Thornton makes a play on it. This is one of those where it's don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it.
From the Pink Seats podcast, Jacob Lane, producer Keith Vince Lococo. We are recapping a dub at senior night for Louisville football against Pittsburgh on Saturday. A hell of a game, arguably Louisville's best game of the season in terms of just start to finish. Absolutely dominant performance. If you're listening on audio or anywhere that you get your podcast from, we thank you for doing so. Be sure you subscribe to the show. Go in there and give us a rate and review us. Let us know what you think of the show, good or bad. Love to see that in there. And be sure, of course, to subscribe and watch the show on YouTube. Going to get the full shebang here with Vince's game notes tonight, as well as all the other fun stuff that goes into our show each week. But we're excited to have you here, excited to be talking to Dub heading into UK week. It's a great feeling because, honestly, like I said, we all called it, right? Louisville, best game of the year. We knew this was coming. The only one really in reality that had any kind of real faith was Vince Lococo going with the Cards and keeping himself from any combine drills. So shout out to him. He's the real winner of the weekend.
My knees are thanking me as we speak.
That's right, man.
So bowl game doesn't go into that total then.
I don't know. What's the score?
I'm already up 2, right? Tie?
Yeah.
At most?
I'm down 2. So at worst, I could just fade you 2 weeks, get, I assume, unlucky. We tie, and then it would go into, I guess, split the combine drills. But
we could do a national championship or something tiebreaker at that point if it came to that. But yeah, we can. I'm down to count bowl games to keep it fair because I would want to count bowl games. I would want to count bowl games if I was in Keith's position. So,
yeah, he needs exactly. He needs everything.
I mean, if not, I'm just dead. Basically, it's just, am I fading Vince or not? So,
well, hopefully this weekend, none of us are going to be fading anybody and we can all go the same direction. But we'll get there when we get there later on in the week on the preview show. But fellas, it's great to see you all. It's been, a week since we've done the show. The Pittsburgh show was a fantastic one. It's going to be hard for me to follow that up here tonight. But hopefully we've got a ton of good things to get into again with the Louisville win, 37-9. When you just look at this game and you run through it, Louisville really just such an impressive performance. And, one of the things that I really found interesting from the show was, Vince, you really just talking about the mentality of Louisville and how this game in particular, despite it just being another week, and all the coach speak that any coach and player can say when it comes to a game. Like, it mattered. It was personal. Louisville needed to bounce back. They needed this one. Pittsburgh obviously came in losing 3 in a row after starting 7-0. This was a really good opportunity to get right. And for Louisville, that's exactly what they did, fellas. And I couldn't be more impressed with the defense outside of, like, that first drive. If you're like me, I was like, here we go again, SMU all over again. They're going to drive right down the field, like, with ease. But sure enough, man, they got it together. Sanquon obviously coming through. We're going to get into all of that. But it's great to be here with a victory. That's all I'll say.
Man, I was definitely, like you said, Jacob, nervous there for a second with how the drive was going to open it up. But it was nice. It was obviously another good game day atmosphere. Finally nice to have like a cold environment game. I feel like all our games this year have been piss hot, and I've just lost 10 pounds after I've left.
With a massive sunburn, right?
Yeah,
like,
man. I'm
contributing to our eventual skin cancer. Like,
seriously, I'm like touching my face. I'm like, was I in the sun that much today? But no, I enjoyed the weather. It was a little cold, but it's good. You're good for one of those every year. So it's a good last tailgate too.
Fantastic. Yeah. Keith, what about you, man?
Oh yeah, for sure. Big fan of the cold weather. Would like to get a few more games in that as opposed to the 95 with a heat index of 110 and 70% humidity. Yeah, was not about that. So big fan of the cooler weather. Again, made the tailgating fun, got some family out to the game. Good time was had by all except for my one buddy who was a Pitt fan. Asked me to come to the game. I told him sure because I knew he had a horrible track record of Pitt records going to games in person.
So you did your part, Keith. You did your part.
So was thrilled to have that streak continue.
Love that, man. The way to use your friend as a pawn. I'm here for it.
Now, it was Ag Day Magic. So
shout out to the farmers.
Y'all make your way over to the alley at all before the game or anything?
I did not, no.
Oh, so they had a inflatable mechanical bull.
Oh, I saw that. Lottie posted that on Twitter. It was pretty funny.
Did you get up there, Keith?
Oh no, there was a hard weight limit of 3 bills, so I'm exceeding that.
That's the content that people need. Keith on a bull before the game, like no context.
I'd feel bad for the bull.
Right, well, it was all around. It was a great weekend. Before we get in, I do have to tell you all a story of what happened to me. So Keith or Vince, you mentioned before.
Yes, I need to hear.
Clearly almost beardless. It's there, but it's just it's barely hanging on. So Friday morning, I have a really important day. I'm going to the track with a client out at Churchill, going to dinner afterwards. Like, just need to be, buttoned up, looking professional. My beard was getting a little gnarled. If you watched that last episode, like, it's just kind of all over the place, right? Like, good beard just needs to be cleaned up. So I go get my hair cut. I have a work call around like 8:45. So I'm moving really quickly. I get home, no time to really think or react. So I just start to, take the electric trimmer to clean the beard up. I trim about half of my face, probably like to right here, and the trimmers die. So here I am.
No. Oh, no.
I've got a real, very quick, got to put my head some very tough choices of how I proceed here. And I just want you guys to have some context. I used to work at a job where I was not allowed to have a beard. So for 4 or 5 years of my life, there was no beard. And I am not a good looking beardless fella. Like, I've got a double chin, like I've got a little bit of a dimple. So there is a tiny butt in there. Like it's not a good look. I've got a very soft jaw. Okay. So in 10 minutes and we're getting ready to get going right for work. What do I do? What would you all do in this moment? What do you do? To shave it off?
I guess shave it off. I'd have to.
As someone who's perpetually clean shaven, just hit the reset button.
Couldn't.
But this is exactly why my dad's always like, "Oh, but why don't you just trim it?" Like my neck beard right now, it's like a little outgrown. He's like, "Why don't you just trim it up?" That's why. Yeah, that's why. Because
that's worst case scenario for a bearded guy is to get halfway through and your razor go out. So I call my wife in a panic. I'm just like screaming, blaming her for moving the razors. That I thought I had another pair. Obviously, there's no truth to that. That didn't happen. So I am spiraling, guys. I'm like literally in probably the most emotional state I've ever been, coming to the conclusion I'm going to have to shave my beard before I go to the track. My wife convinces me to go out in public. I was not going to do it. I end up going to Kroger with half of a beard, like literally running.
Bro, you should have put a mask on. Y'all didn't have a mask?
Couldn't find one, so I went with the hood over my. I went with the hood over my head, and the looks that I got, and ultimately, I think somebody knew when I was checking out. They saw what was in my hand. They saw my hood up. They just kind of gave me like a wink and nod, but it was literally there for about 20 minutes.
I would have lost my shit if I was like that.
The amount of cuss words that were flying. Thankfully, no kids were home at the time. But man, pure panic, guys. This is pure panic for me about the worst case scenario. But we rebounded and we went on. We had a great day. Had a fun day at the track, and nobody really ever knew. But I was an emotional hell for about 15 minutes.
Now everyone will know.
Yes, no.
Reset button's not that bad.
There you go.
I gotta have some level of beard on my face, or else life is just, I don't know. It's not worth living, man. That's just the way it goes.
Is that how it is?
It is for me. I'm just telling you.
At least Taylor was the voice of reason in the back of your head. Like, calm down. Just go to
Kroger. Go to Kroger. Put a hood on. Yeah. So, but you all almost saw me in a very precarious state this weekend without a beard, and it would have. I mean, you would have just rocked
like the half beard shit. That would have been hilarious.
I could have. I mean, that would have been trendy, but
and you could have went to your client and been like, "Look, like I could have either." Been late to this meeting, shaving my face, X, Y, and Z, or I could have given you my full devotion of time and showed you how important of a client you are to me. And look, here we are.
You just get sassy. It's called fashion. You really need to get with the times.
But what I did instead, guys, is I locked in and I took care of business. Too. I went out without any fear in the world. I got the razor. I came home, took care of business in an efficient amount of time. And when the buzzers hit 000, the effort can really be one of those things that I can lean on and know that I did my part. So I was prepared rocking into this weekend. In my opinion, that was my 505 yards worth of total offense, was that performance that I put out on Friday. But that's Louisville's performance this weekend. And Keith and Vince, I want to open up with this. Like, what about the offensive, kind of getting going and being able to put up that level of yardage that I think was their second best offensive performance of the year against a team like Pittsburgh that defensively, I know they've got some injuries and things of that nature. And Keith, you're much more in tune, but I mean, Pittsburgh's a damn good defensive football team, and Louisville made them look like a bunch of peewees.
I think it was really the ability to kind of keep them guessing. You saw it early in the script, the opening script, where they were doing a lot of the RPOs, getting the ball out in space early on, getting mismatches out there in space. I thought that they did a good job of just kind of keeping them guessing on where they were going to be going with the football, and really took advantage of that.
Yeah, and that was sort of the point I had. We did a good job of just exploiting their aggression. Like we said in the preview episode, we were talking about I'd like to see some screen concepts. I'd like to see some draws to try and exploit that blitz, the RPOs. We saw all of that, and it all worked because our personnel busted ass. Like the offensive line, they've struggled with some higher level competition. When they're playing teams on equal footing or even lesser than, they can bully the shit out of guys. And you don't run for as many yards as we did this week without your O-line being bullies. So
yeah, I'm sure that they took it personal from last year for sure. I mean, they showed it, specifically the offensive line. They struggled last year with that terrible footing of a surface that they had. So to come out this year and really dominate the entire four quarters was awesome. Yeah, outside of that one drive where they were pinned down deep, that was not good.
Yeah, the safety, I assume is what you're talking about. Yeah, we got to just avoid the 1 yard line, our own 1 yard line. I mean, we're 2 for 2 on safeties this year.
Well, that was about BS, and we all know it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an unfortunate thing, but yeah, just a tough go. But besides that, and then there were some other minor things offensively, but for the most part, I mean, you have that play to Chris Bell that is, arguably one of the better plays of his career. Felt like just like a shifting moment offensively for them. And he's had 2 hell of back-to-back games, man, over 100 yards.
Vince, on that play, how close were you to blowing a gasket, rewatching and seeing his head definitely turned before he caught that ball?
Dude, it's in my notes of great play, but catch it the first time. That's exactly, I guarantee you, that's what Coach McGee said in the meeting room was, you should have caught the first time.
Yeah. But all around, man, you talk about the execution on that play, being able to pull it off, all around for Louisville this game. It was awesome. 7 of 12 on third down. Arguably, I would say probably, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I mean, I do, but to go through each one of these would take me way too long. But I'm pretty sure that's their best game in terms of efficiency on third down offensively. For the other side, they hold Pittsburgh to 4 of 12, 1 of 3 on third down or on fourth down, got them off of the field on turnover of downs on 2 different possessions in the first half. I mean, really impressive when you combine that with the 2 interceptions that they got from Stanquan Clark, which I'm sure we'll get into. But you transition to the other side of the ball, and the effort was much better. I still thought there were some questionable decisions or plays that were made by the secondary that ultimately didn't matter because other guys made up for it. One of them in particular, Quincy, I think it might have been the first play, the passing play of the game, just got cooked on a comeback route. Cooked, man. Just kind of that's kind of where I was at the beginning of the game, thinking here we go with this again. But 100%. Ultimately, I mean, Corey Thornton had a damn good game. TJ Quinn played a damn good game. You had a great game from the defensive line. Ashton, arguably his best game of the season. Coming against a team where they had 3 offensive linemen missing. That's what you expect from Ashton, right? In that kind of game, to be able to pin your ears back and get after the damn quarterback. And unfortunately, he did that so well that it left their quarterback's leg in pieces. But besides that, I mean, they just couldn't stop him. They literally could not stop him.
He was a pest. The only times I saw Ashton having some trouble was when he was getting eaten by chips by Gavin Bartholomew, who I believe I called a sentient polar bear on the preview episode. So no shame in having a hard time with that big fella. But no, it was nice to see the defensive line and honestly Stanquan as well really have a breakout game. You could have hung your head after the I'm going to assume it was a slip on that read swing route early where Stanquan
turf monster, bro.
Yeah,
watch out for that line. That line will get you. It's gotten everybody. It's just a line. It might not, be elevated, but there's a line on the field that gets everybody. And it just got Stanquan.
Yeah, it's like, when you're carpenter, like if you have a rug and it's just a little bit bunched up and it just gets you enough to trip, like that's what it was. Just
I guarantee you what happened was there's a spike on the tip of the cleat. I don't know if it's on offensive lineman cleats, but it's on like skill position cleats where if you look at like the spikes of it at the bottom, there's one at the point, kind of like picture a rollerblade, like the stopper at the front of a rollerblade. Almost, and I guarantee you his spike got caught right there and he just face planted. But kudos to him for making it look like a dive.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Made up for it too. Didn't take much time.
Yeah, kid played a hell of a game. Look, we played a damn good game. I only had like a couple minor critiques just because I'm pessimistic, Keith. I always have to have something. You can't be perfect. You have to strive for more. I'm really worried that clock management's going to bite us in the ass at some point.
Well, we got 2 games and they're super important. So let's at this point, man, let's freaking hope not.
I went through this whole sequence before halftime. Now, for context, we were up 28. It probably didn't matter at this point, but maybe it's just me being picky. I want a killer's mentality. I want to bury them.
You, man.
Yeah. So we go in.
I text too that it was not a good drive, if I remember correctly.
So we get to stop. We stop Yarnell on the scramble on 3rd and 1. So 2:45 on the clock is when the refs blew him down. We have 3 timeouts and we don't take one. We just let it tick, 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 tick until 2:19 when Pitt takes a timeout because they couldn't make up their mind on if they're going or not. And then they sent out the punt team. So 26 wasted seconds. Okay, fine. They punt the ball to Brooks. He has a nice return, 22-yard return, gets tackled, 2:05 on the clock. We line up in I formation and run the ball going into the 2-minute warning. Yeah, sure, whatever. Would have preferred to spread the field if you're going to try and run the ball, but I'm not going to get picky about play calling. This is about clock management. First play after the timeout, we run a draw out of shotgun. Again, would have liked that call before the 2-minute warning. Sure, whatever. Tackled, blown dead at 1:53. We don't call timeout, and we don't get another snap off until 1:20. So 33 wasted seconds. So we're already close to a minute of wasted time from 2:45 to where we're at currently. Mm-hmm. And then because we take so long, we draw up another run. Okay, whatever. Timeout, come out, play action pass to the sideline, get a first down. Big fan. I approve. And then a run up the middle. We let time tick off. We don't have 2 plays called, drawn up and ready. We don't take timeouts, burn through, and we end up with the ball, clock stopped, no timeouts, 14 seconds left. Take a shot at the end zone. Only takes 4 seconds off the clock. 2nd down. Now, some people are going to be on the fence of, oh, yeah, he should have kicked there because what if something, blah, blah, blah. We have a 7th-year senior quarterback.
I thought you were going to complain about this. I knew whenever you text, I was like, yeah, I know Keith is going to – because I was kind of right there with you. Go ahead. Keep going. I agree with you a little bit.
We had time to take another shot downfield. You have a 7th-year senior quarterback. If there's nothing open, throw it away, then send your kick team on the field instead of kicking and leaving 4 seconds on the half for a kick return.
Yeah. Speaking of his throwing away ability, it is like getting to Malik Cunningham level of like bad, of underhanding.
It's funny though.
What is funny? It's funny because it's not an interception. Okay.
Yeah, they called the sack back, which, at the time I'm like, what are we doing? Like, we're taking too much time here. But ultimately, like, I'm with you. He's almost cost Louisville several times with pitching the ball away, Jack Plummer style. And it's one of those things where, he's going to like, you can't blame him. Like, he's just trying to get rid of the football, trying not to get hurt. But at some point, it's like, Tyler, come on, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah,
you're going to cost us big time.
I have a theory on this. It's this darn Patrick Mahomes who's polluting our children, trying to be swaggy. And it's even worse for Tyler Shuck because he's a kid who went to Texas Tech, so he's even more exposed to that. You need to stop this menace that is Patrick Mahomes. It's bad for the game.
Keith needs his statue Tom Brady-esque quarterbacks back, please. Please move 3 steps, 4-step drop at max, 4 reads. If it's not good pass pro, you're sacked.
Paxton Lynch had all the tools to be an elite NFL quarterback.
Said no one.
Hey, John Elway said that, and that's what got Denver.
Yes, I know. Hey, but they did get the cool backpack moment for one or 2 games. Don't worry.
Love that. All right, we're just gonna cut from here. He said in the private chat that his cat just caught a mouse and was eating it on the carpet. So I'm like, that's metal.
What the fuck?
So Jacob,
bro, what is going on in your house right now?
Look, man, we live out in the boons of Oldham County. You never know what varmints are going to enter your house. But this is why we have a cat, so I don't have to worry about it. He caught it and he killed it, and we got it quickly, so we're good to go. He did not eat this one like he normally does. So thankfully, we walk out sometimes, man, and it looks like there has been a massacre and like underneath the table of the kids. It's awful, but it's the benefit of having a cat, though, is that
I've got 2,
mid-show, he's over here taking care of it, so we're good to go. He's doing his job, man. 1 of 11, 3-phase, 4-quarter football
DYJ.
playing. Yeah, that's right, man. Do your job. So yeah, that's what I was trying to fight through with the filibuster there, but we made it, so we're good to go. You never know what's going to go down on this show. You just got to be efficient, nimble, on your feet, man, like Stanquan Clark.
You know, I made a comment that we were going to cut after.
We've had everything from guys getting tattooed to now cats eating mice.
Yeah, eating mice. Yeah.
Yes.
Heck yeah, man.
Great.
Dude, this is just dudes being dudes over here.
Our
man.
reputation is just growing.
You know, I'm glad it's not a bird. That would have been a bad omen going into the week.
yeah, that's right, man. That's right.
That would have been wild.
Yeah, but that's the only time you're going to hear me say shout out to the cats is because my cat just took care of business over here. That's the last bit, okay? From this point on, it's fuck the cats.
that's
including you. Fuck you, cat. Like, I'm over here flicking them off. Now he's getting it this week, buddy. No cats will be.
He's gonna rub his bloody mice mouth on your leg.
All right,
take this, owner.
Well, have we talked Vince's game notes yet? Should we get into it?
Yeah, we already finished it.
Oh, we finished it. All right, guys. Well, I will see you all next week. Have a good well, let's go ahead and let's roll the tape here and let's get into Vince's game notes.
It's time to get down to brass tacks. It's Vince's game notes with Vincent Lococo.
Fun game, boys. I mean, this one was definitely a lot more fun to rewatch through than Stanford. Could say that much. I mean, from all 4 quarters, it was. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch the Harrison Bailey drives over, so you're not gonna get any of that content in here. But you're gonna get a lot of 1s and 2s.
Hey man, those were 8 good handoffs. He did a great job. salute to Harrison Bailey on senior day.
Just like your cat, DYJ. Do your job.
That's right.
I was just going to say a routine colonoscopy was more pleasant than rewatching Stanford, but here we are.
Yes. And you're the only one old enough to know that, Keith. All right, guys. For me, like Jacob and I said earlier, I'm sure Keith was in agreement too, that this first drive defensively had us worried in our boots a little bit, shaking a little. For me, I wish both these linebackers would have just went earlier on this route. Both the outside routes are basically designed to pick TJ, to pick Stanquan, to get Corey Thornton running, and to just essentially get that ball out to the running back as quickly as possible. Hit that next slide for me, Keith. Yeah, you see here, TJ's his job is likely to engage with the guy. You see Corey Thornton's over top right there with his eyes on that man that's trying to run past TJ. But again, TJ could get held up by that other guy underneath of him. I wish Stanquan would peek at the quarterback's eyes right here and just pull the trigger, because that guy on the outside is about to run that curl. Hit the next slide, Keith. Yeah, he runs that curl right there in front of him. Now, I have those arrows drawn for you to just picture how much different this would look if TJ would have shucked him a little bit quicker, or maybe even just bypassed it in general, and Stanquan just stuck a foot in the ground and pulled trigger on it. Now both of those are plays that could have been bang, bang, or potentially interceptions if we would have just been there a hair quicker. So,
I feel like that area of the field when the linebacker and corners are trying to kind of figure out when they're playing zone or even man, the kind of crossover, we've seen so many times where they've allowed a ball to go over their head or for somebody to get loose underneath. It's good to see them slightly start to improve on some of these mistakes. I know we're late in the season, right? 2 games left,
right?
And they're seniors, not probably coming back. But it's great to see them making improvements week to week when ultimately at the end of the season, nothing really matters bowl-wise, right? We're just getting better and focusing on getting better.
Exactly. And you see this play again later on in the show notes where Stanquan goes over top of the block, and it's like, man, I know you're being taught to go over top of the block, go over top because we can rally up to the tackle, but at the same time, like, don't be a robot, be a ball player. If you see a shorter distance to A to B, then take it every single time. So go to the next one for me, Keith. This drive was honestly poopy until we get to the end. Right here is the play Jacob was referencing earlier with Quincy Riley. He's in, I don't know if he's in a zone or man. I didn't really look at it that detailed, but what I did see is on the next slide that Keith's going to show right here is it's blurry, but you can see he's planting off his inside foot here, and it's causing for him to have one, bad leverage, and two, a bad angle. In the next slide, you'll see where he ends up based off that step. So you see his angle was really going, I don't know if it would have been back or play side hit, but it was just not – he should have been driving down more towards the ball and not towards the sideline, essentially, with the outside foot. And he would have had a better opportunity of making a play on the ball here. So it was very frustrating to see early on, but we end up making up for it as a defense. Go to the next one, Keith. This one right here is the trip, the fall, the missed tackle, whatever you want to call it. It's just a swing route with an in, essentially the same concept that they've already ran. They run this one like it's I guarantee you when Pitt calls this, it's all in the same family, and it's all just different formations that are lined up with it because it's a flat route with somebody coming in every single time. So hit the next one for me, Keith. You see, I have the dotted line as to where I would love for Stanquan to, read and react. He should read and react coming more down towards where the guy's going to be. Instead, he's taking it, the longer loop around route that it would take. Hit the next one, Keith, and we will see where. Yeah, see, this is where I kind of think that Stanquan tripped a little bit, and it's on the toe. But then again, it does look like he's diving. Either way, not a good play right here.
Belly flop incoming.
Yeah, seriously. But he makes up for it right here on the next one I'm going to show. I don't know if it was the direct next play on the drive, but I was confused on what Pitt was trying to do here. I think, Keith, you mentioned it looked like it was what did you say earlier in the group message? That it was just a missed.
It just looked like it was a vertical seam up the inside, and looked like the quarterback just didn't throw it high enough. Like,
yeah,
in the back of the end zone where only his guy can catch it. I think it could have been a play, but left it short, and linebackers eat.
Exactly. We honestly usually don't cover this route. Like, if you guys remember the tight end leaking out, things like that, like they just get behind us. Hit the next clip for me. It's going to show better where Stanquan's at. Like, he just drops back perfectly into coverage. And we even have a guy over top of the ball to where if he would have threw it a little bit deeper, like Keith is talking, we might not get the interception, but we could at least make a play on the ball and live to see another down here. But yeah. I mean, this is if you want to talk about rebound plays, this is a good way to do it for sure. I would have quickly forgot about my missed tackle.
That's right. I mean, you talk about the quarterback needing short-term memory. I mean, I think that was the very next play. It came back and did that. So you can quickly get past that, make a play, and ultimately kind of change the direction of the game.
Exactly. And we talked to the RPOs earlier in the show, and we started out, I think we ran, I don't know if we ran 2 or 3 in a row. We ran about 3 or 4 on this drive, though. And one of them was this one right here. I love it. Starting out with Tyler, he makes a phenomenal read. Hit the next clip for me. You'll be able to see it better. The hips of the DB at the top of the screen are already turned. So Tyler knew that he was going out and throwing out that out route almost immediately as the ball was snapped. So it was a great read from him and something you love to see. Hit the next one for me. Another one that Tyler's likely reading on pre-snap. This blitzer that I have circled showed early whenever I was rewatching it. If you guys watch it, he comes and creeps up. We had to have a hard count, or maybe he thought Tyler was ready to snap the football. But I don't know if this motion was in the game plan or not. But it looks like I like to think in my head that Tyler saw the blitzer and was like, you'll like this one, and just bumps Duke over and then runs it. Like, our quarterback's smart enough to check and make that read and everything. So that's the storyline I'm going to go with in my head. Hit the next one for me, Keith. You'll see what I'm talking about here. I had the numbers up there because it just shows we had the numbers game right here. We had them outnumbered. That's, more than enough. 2-on-2 right there. It'll be 3-on-2 once the ball is thrown. Hit the next one for me, Keith. yeah, you'll be able to see the open space and how much yardage we can get right here. It was a huge play. I loved it. It was a great play call by Jeff. We ended up on this drive actually kicking a field goal, so I did not show the rest of them on that drive. You got something to say, Keith?
Just on this last play, it looks like it was a man assignment off the blitz. How many times do you think number 30 for Pitt saying, oh, shit, and he's like 15 yards away from Duke right here?
Shit, man. That would suck. Yeah, he definitely got his ass ripped on Sunday. That had to have been a bad day for him. But here we are on to Jacob's Sack King update in Vince's game notes, which is Ashton Gelati having a phenomenal fucking game. I mean, this was awesome from him.
Look where he is. Look where he is, man. I am telling you, positioning with Ashton matters so much. If you go back and you watch the Stanford game, they had him lined out like almost where the slot receiver was. I mean, he was coming so far outside. They've lined him up a little bit closer this week, and I'm telling you, it matters. It matters so much where they line him up when it comes to pressure.
Yeah, I agree. You see here, hit the next clip for me, Keith, where he's engaging his hands directly into the tackle's chest and his right shoulder. It's his perfect hand placement from Ashton, something you love to see. And then the next clip, it's going to show him dipping around, bending, ripping his arm through. And the next one will show exactly the angle Ashton had to take. I know that yellow line's hard to see, but you can see it going right in the middle of the L of the Cardinal bird at the 50-yard line. That's the angle he had to take and bend and cut to get this sack, where he does end up ending the night for Holstein early. So, yeah, that was a rough tackle. Even rewatching it, that was even uglier to rewatch. So I hope he's all right. But
this tackle, not only in real time, but even rewatching it, I mean, I think he did land on his head, but it wasn't as hard as it probably looked. But at first, guys, I thought it was like a Tua Tagovailoa situation where he got brought to the ground, and then just kind of the angle that I was at, it just looked like he went very stiff. Like his arm went up in the air. And he was grabbing Ashton. It was just a very weird situation.
I thought he hit his head too. I thought he hit his head too. That's what I texted you guys at the moment. But rewatching it, I mean, his ankle, man, that thing got ravaged. They even it's unfortunate. Yeah, they even ended up putting the air cast on him. That's never a fun sight to see.
Yeah, they had that on the field. They had that bad boy thrown on there.
Yeah, he's a tough guy, man. I was like, typically when they get an air cast, doesn't that mean like a bone's out? And he's just out here walking around on his crutches.
I mean, that's got to be a good sign for him, man, that he was able to travel home with Pitt and not have to, that would suck having to stay in Louisville. You've already had all those injuries throughout the season. You probably just want to go home and, relax and try and catch your breath for a second, but hope he's all right in the long run. Next play, I love this right here, guys. I mean, out of the backfield, fullback. It's not the fullback, it's the tight end, but this is a fullback-esque position. This is pretty. This is old Coach Petrino, where you're setting up the ISO zone. You completely bypass the running back and you run a corner route off of it. Hit the next clip for me. This one will get Keith fired up right here. Look at this. Tyler can smoke a cigarette back there. He has so much time throwing the freaking football. I mean, this is beautiful pass protection from the offensive line and tight end included. Go ahead, Keith. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say also, it looks like running back stepping up and getting a block as well. We can coach on that technique a little bit. Looks like he's firing a shoulder instead of his hands, but you know what? Body on a body. I'll take that from a running back.
Exactly. And Tyler ended up having number 9 right here kind of in his face based off how Tyler steps up and throws the ball. But still, this is a phenomenal pass pro right here nonetheless. So I love it. Next clip will show where we're catching the football downfield. What was it? This was Kariski's, right?
Yeah, Kariski.
Great play, man.
Shout out to Nate Dogg. Yeah.
So next clip for me, Keith. This is a fun running concept that they have where they pull both the guards right here. And essentially mark right. That's Kariski again. Kariski's climbing up for the linebacker. The tackle's going to end up climbing up for the linebacker. And we're running it straight downhill. And we're going to give Isaac Brown. I think it's Isaac. Isaac and Duke are killing me this year, man, especially not being able to see the back view of their numbers.
The way he's standing up, he looks like Ashton Genty right now, man. That's
I have Brown in my notes. Oh, I'm sure that's going to be a thing now. That's definitely going to be a thing. All right, hit the next clip for me. Them damn millennials, Jacob. What are we going to do? But right here, man, the block is really made by on senior day. You love to see stuff like this. Renato Brown making a huge block right here, pulling, coming around, giving Isaac Brown a clear lane of where to cut, and then the tackle right there, climbing up second level on the guy I have circled, and Kariski climbing up, like I said, getting the second level defender as well. Hit the next clip, Keith. You'll be able to see a little bit clearer after the block of where we're at. I mean, look at that. That's beautiful right there from everybody, even the downfield blocking. So you got to love that.
And just for Blue Hicks, for as far outside as he was, to get inside and make a block on that linebacker in the middle of the field as well. That's just
Can I throw Blue Hicks into the we got to retain him department? Because my gosh, after this game, I'm like, man, please bring him back. Please.
I thought that was known. I thought that was a thing. I mean, I wanted it for sure.
They've obviously leaned on Amari Huggins-Bruce much more, but you get to a point sometimes in the season where you lose the look. You're the older guy. We got to go with the better player. I think that's what's happened with all the injuries, and that's been to the slot position.
Hey, whatever we got to do to win, man.
I love it.
Yep. So next clip for me. This one right here is definitely a shout out to Coach Brew. If you guys see at the top of the screen, it says room 304, drinking out of a straw. So that's something we used to hear constantly all the time in the wide receiver rooms, especially in practice when you're not really going to mess up your teammate. You're just going to give him a nice little love tap and let him know, like, hey, I could have took your head off right here if I really wanted to. But little coaching concepts here where they're running a drag across the middle. Hit the next clip for me, Keith. What they teach right here is if you're looking, you're booking. So if I am looking down the field right here like he is doing, he's signaling the quarterback, I'm not ready for the football. I'm going to keep running. Right. So that's what the quarterback is seeing right now. That's what the running back is telling the quarterback. You see Stan Kwan at the top of the screen reading this. Hit the next clip for me. As soon as he turns his head, that's when the quarterback's delivering the football. And that's when Stan Kwan starts to move and break on the ball. And I initially thought whenever I saw this real time, I'm like, oh, man, fucking quarterback's going to have to take the wide receiver out for dinner, next week. I mean, God bless. I would hate to talk to that guy. But knowing what I know, this is on the wide receiver 10 times out of 10. You sit this route down and you sit it down for like one of, how it's the drags are. You can either hitch it up or you can keep it going. He should have hitched it up right there, but instead he keeps it going, identifying the quarterback that he's ready for the football right here with his head turned. Next clip will be able to show just Stan Kwan just laying the wood. This was awesome. Yeah. It was perfect because usually it's a helmet to helmet in these situations. There's a targeting involved. And, for these, there's two situations where we come up and lay the wood and it's, a clean, in today's world hit, which you love to see. So
AJ and Big Justice would have been very proud of that hit. 5 out of 5.
Shout out to them. Big weekend on AEW.
Yeah, AEW. That was awesome,
boom, man.
Yes. Big Justice definitely lived up to the hype. So did Big AJ. Yeah. That was awesome.
This was a empty the beer kind of moment because not because I drank it from being excited, is because the hit was so big that you're standing in your seat and all of a sudden you're just like, oh, and you go and the beer goes way up and that's that kind of moment. Yeah,
we haven't had a lot of moments in Cardinal Stadium this year where we've all collectively as a fan base went, ooh,
yeah, right,
yeah, exactly. And that was one of them. It was awesome to hear. So we need to get more of those next season. Hit the next play for me, Keith. So I loved this play called by Jeff. This is, get your playmakers the ball and down a distance, knowing where everyone's at. But this play, in my opinion, Keith mentioned the running backs getting in and blocking a couple plays prior to this. This play is made by Mo Turner. This play is a sack 10 times out of 10 if Mo Turner does anything but what he's coached to do right here. Next clip for me, Keith. Just absolutely laying the wood on a block. It's hard for the running backs to block. So essentially it's a wrecking ball a lot of times. You just got to run into them, shoot your hips, shoot your hands, and hope for the best and kind of run them off as that happens and hope the quarterback makes the right decision moving up in the pocket. But great play right here, Mo Turner. Great blocking by the offensive line as well. Look at their pass pro. Again, Tyler could smoke a cig. He could have 2 cigarettes down in this game where we're not even out of the first half yet. So, I mean, that's incredible to me. So, next clip, go ahead.
Another reason why I think we were as successful as we were against Pitt, we called out on the preview show how hyper-aggressive they are. The offensive line combined with the tight ends and running back unit did a fantastic job picking up these hyper-aggressive blitzes to give Tyler tons of time.
Yes, completely agree. Next one for me, Keith, is going to just show where Brooks was. This was pretty funny. This was beautiful. Brooks showing his swagger a little bit and, backpedaling into the end zone. You got to love that.
Yeah. Juvenile once said, you look good when you back that thing up. That's what this was right here. Twerked his ass right in the end zone.
Jacory caught a pass, the pass, then he got the stick,
Jesus. Keith, you need a whole fucking soundboard, bro, of just like your own shit. When we get a studio, that's priority number one, Jacob. Get
priority number one. Keith's soundboard. That's right.
That's right. All right, next clip for me. I mentioned down and distance prior in previous shows that we've done recaps and even the Wednesday preview shows. So you see right here, it's 3rd and 16. You see we're playing pretty off right here for good reason. Next clip is going to be able to show exactly why I had down and distance circled. Pitt's running a play directly at the sticks. They are trying to get the first down right here. And our guys are saying, no, we're digging our heels right here onto the 50-yard line, essentially, and we're going to make a play on the football. And we don't have just one. We've got 3 guys around the football. So this was a hell of a play by the defense right here. Something you love to see, something we wish we would have seen against other teams, but, nevertheless, I'm happy to see it. Right here is, beautiful scramble drill. Tyler Shuck had a couple throws this game that were NFL throws 100%. If you listen to the Reggie Bonifant podcast, you heard him talk about a lot of the throws that you saw Tyler make in this game. This one being one of them. Scrambling, I talk a lot about how the wide receiver has to stay friendly in relation with the quarterback. I couldn't really tell what route Jacory Brooks ran right here, but I'm guessing based off Tyler's pointing that he wasn't exactly designed to run a comeback to the sideline here. I bet it was something a go or maybe breaking across the middle where Brooks made a slight decision to break across and go back towards our sideline. Hit the next clip for me just to show exactly where Tyler threw the ball from. This is a dime piece of a ball coming from this distance. Next one is going to be able to show just exactly where Brooks is. Toe tap, NFL catch. This is an NFL level throw, NFL level catch. Next one's going to show a better angle of it, Keith. Beautiful.
I literally looked over to my buddy and said, NFL throw, NFL catch. Bang, bang, man.
And you can, on my screen, you can see it a little bit right here because it's minimalized, but on my screen, my side screen, it's big, obviously. Mark Ivy's face is just like his jaw is wide open right here. And it's pretty awesome.
That's a damn, the stance. I see it, man. The shoulders kind of lean.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next clip for me right here. I guess this is just a Stanquan Clark show because this kid right here, really lived up to all the hype in this game, and it was awesome to see. He has hook curl right here, reads it perfectly. Hit the next clip for me, Keith. He just drops back perfectly. They ran an S they talked about it in announcers. They ran like an S type route where it was an wide receiver dove in and was going to break out, but the quarterback threw it as he was breaking in. It was really a bad ball by the quarterback. It was pretty ugly. But Stanquan, being a ball player, makes a play on the ball and again makes another huge interception. I'd love to see him keep his feet on one of these and maybe trying to return one for 6, but I guess I might be asking too much out of people nowadays. All right, hit the next one for me. We'll be able to talk about Isaac Brown a little bit. This kid is awesome. He's got 3 different directions we've talked about right here where he can kind of go. 3 choices. I talked about these 3 options, and if you play college football 25, you really kind of can see what I'm talking about here. If you're having a hard time visualizing this, or check out our YouTube if you're hard time visualizing this on the audio version. But Isaac right here, he's got 3 different options. Clearly kicking it outside, he could maybe get it in the end zone right here. But trusting your blockers and trusting the play call at hand is priority number 1. Hit the next clip right here. You'll be able to see Isaac getting in that hole, trusting his lead blockers. Being able to see, even in this instance, he's got 2 spots where he can kind of stick a foot in the ground and decide on where he wants to go, and he makes the correct decision, goes outside. And what I love on this next clip is he's about to lower his shoulder and make sure that he gets into the end zone. He doesn't stick the ball out. He doesn't try and dive or do any cute shit. He's just going to run through your mouth, get the points, and go back to the sideline. So I love this. I love this play.
Yeah, big fan of that. And also, if we're just going to go back a couple of slides, again, shout out to the offensive line for getting up to the second level. You see Gonzalez, you see Renato Brown, and then you see Niagara winning at the line of scrimmage.
5, 6 yards
yeah,
field.
Just dominating the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So And then for the running back to be able to finish plays off when you do bust your ass like that as an O-lineman, very gratifying.
You mentioned the offensive line. Look who's in that picture right there.
Yep, exactly. Gonzalez at the 5-yard line.
That's what you love to see.
I don't know if you all would agree with this, but up until this last game, Louisville had gone 3 games in a row without allowing a sack. Obviously, I know Monroe Mills coming back, some of the changes they've made, but the draft stock of Michael Gonzalez is very high right now. He has had a hell of a season.
He's going to be a steal.
He has brought it on. Yes, he absolutely is.
He's going to be a steal for an NFL team for sure. A lot like Jaron Christensen probably, who lasted like a long time. Probably like 6-7 years in the NFL. Is he still playing?
I think he plays for the Browns. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Still in the league. So next play right here, Jacob, like we said, NFL throw on a Saturday. That's what I have in my notes. This was I referenced the Reggie show. Reggie said hash to hash is a throw that NFL scouts 100% look at. And this is one of them right here that we get. Hit the next clip for me, Keith. You'll be able to see some more action a little bit better. I mean, from where Tyler's throwing this is got to be a pass that I'd say, I don't know, the Giants could use, the Browns could use. There are a couple, and the Raiders could likely use that. Sorry, Dad. There are multiple teams that would love to have a quarterback that could throw at this distance. The next clip is going to be able to show exactly where we get it to. I mean, that's beautiful. I love that. Ja'Cory Brooks and Tyler Shuck, y'all absolutely helped your draft stock this game.
The connection is beautiful. We go back though. Like, is it funny to you all that there's 2 guys that are both like, "Hello, like,
I'm over here."
It's like wide open, wanting the ball, and then where he throws, like, I'm gonna make an NFL throw real quick.
Pitt bit on this because this was a play action play, and I talked about it during the 2-minute warning clock management issues. We make some great plays. Like, trust your guys to make some plays, man.
Yeah, 100%. I love this play call right here. This next clip, this one right here. You mentioned trusting your guys, Keith. This is a trust your guys moment right here of just the old feed the studs, as Coach Petrino likes to say. And getting a guy like Chris Bell north and south as quickly as possible is definitely priority number 1. Great motion right here where he kind of lulls it in between the tackles and then kicks it on once the ball is snapped and he actually gains ground right here on the route. Next clip. Yep. Perfect. Yep. Next clip for me. Yeah, it's good. So right here is they do this drill all the time where they throw a ball, right at the sideline and you have to toe tap and get north and south. And this is why, they always say you'll see this a lot of times at the college, high school level where wide receivers in this instance in practice I'm talking about will catch this ball and continue running out of bounds. And it's like, oh my, like, why the fuck are you running out of bounds? Like, try and toe tap and get north and south. You never know when you're going to run into an instance like that. And this is a coach, like, I guarantee you Coach McGee's going to take this clip right here, snap it, not because Chris is scoring a touchdown, but because of what he does right here on the sidelines. This is amazing right here. Now just picture, so my job in practice would be like, if he catches the ball right here, I would have one of those shields and I would hit them with the shield right here to try and get them to go out of bounds. So, like, this drill, I know for a fact they do every single day. So this is really cool to see.
Ball placement here, though, from a quarterback perspective, like, is if you lead him too far, you're going to just take him right out of bounds. Like, that's just as much of the battle as the throw, being able to be in a place where you can keep running, right? Like, if you throw that ball too far, he's just going right out of bounds and might not even get a first down right there.
Yeah,
like, he
might you throw that ball back hip, it could be an interception. They could undercut the route. And I agree for sure, Jacob.
It's a 2-yard pass, but this is a very difficult pass to make. And this is one, again, NFL scouts are going to see this and be like, all right, he can play for my team.
And it's got to go hand in hand with how Tyler, his arm slot, he's able to drop his arm a lot, like Patrick Mahomes. I know Keith and I were while you were away. Keith and I were complaining about Patrick Mahomes, but
yeah, he does, man. I mean, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Kyler Murray's another one that can just the arm angles.
Lamar too, yeah, for sure. So, I mean, and you got to love finishing the run right here. Not doing any stupid shit like sticking the ball out.
Dude,
for sure.
Too, right? Like, isn't he like 6'1", 6'2", 225 or something like that? He's a big kid.
Yeah, it's like a deer, man. Screw that.
I fucking love Chris Bell, man. He's one of my favorite players we've had in a long time. I love him, man.
100%.
That is one of the things I'm very happy I've seen out of the Louisville team this year, because you've seen it from other teams. No one's Deshaun Jacksoning it. They're carrying the ball at least a couple steps into the end zone before they start to celebrate. So good job, guys. Keep doing that, please.
Exactly. Could not agree more, Keith. I would, oh my God, that would just live rent free in my head if we did that.
Yeah, we weren't doing the pod back when Amari did that in 2019. So
yeah, right.
We didn't get true unfiltered.
I was there for that one. Yeah,
right.
So hit the next clip for me. Right here is about as open field tackling gets. They fake the run a little swing route to the opposite side of where they're faking the run. Who is that guy's making the open field tackle right here?
If I can't remember correct,
hit the next clip, Keith. We might be able to see it. Right here, obviously, this is as open field as it gets. This is showing just where we're at when he makes the point of attack. Hit the next one, and yeah, I mean, this is all day.
Yeah, fantastic.
Who is this?
Is that Taz Nicholson?
Yes, Taz Nicholson. Because I remember being surprised. I was like, oh my God, a D-back made an open field tackle.
And it wasn't at the ankles. Like this was crazy. Like his hips are engaged right here. He's high, obviously, but when you're coming down with like a cannonball, I mean, it doesn't really matter at that instance. Just make contact. The dude's gonna go down.
So this play, I was terrified because we go to what the route was. The quarterback steps up in the pocket. He threw it backwards here to reach.
Oh,
so the whole time I was like, these sons of bitches are double passing on us.
I feel you. I think I felt like I thought about that too whenever it happened because it was behind the line of scrimmage like that. But the next play right here is I'm not gonna lie, this was sexy, guys. Pitt Tipley Cat. This was sexy. So they run this route concept. Look where we're at in the game, the score and everything. I assume that our guys are kind of sleeping and get caught, lackluster, not really paying attention. In my opinion, but it is the receiver at the top of the screen dives down, runs a curl, completely sells it on the curl. Next clip is going to be able to show you better. Like his shoulders are completely turned right here. But what he does is when he comes back, that left foot, you see it's not planted in the ground yet. He sticks that foot in the ground and just fades straight back to the back pile line. And the next clip is, I mean, it's good ball placement, good catch. You chalk that up as a good route. Good play, Pitt. There's nothing you can really do about that.
They got set up with that bullshit pass interference call on Ben Perry. Shouldn't have been called, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. But we got there nonetheless. So
that's right. Ben, don't break, right?
Next one. I haven't given a special team shout out all year. Good job, guys. Right, I probably have, but
I bet you have.
Not to the field goal team. Brock Travesty, great job this year, kind of, in a way.
Yeah,
good job.
Went 100% on senior night. That's all you can ask for.
That's all you can ask for.
I'm just going to say, get him a bigger undershirt. We're going full anti-Mike Rutherford here. I want him to have a bigger undershirt. I want him to have room. I want him to be swimming in that thing.
We need to send him like a Boz shirt where it says like, I hear you, Rutherford, like at the bottom. Like when he makes the field goal, he lifts it up, and it's just I hear you.
Yeah, you need to call them franchise boys with the white tee back in the day, man. Get one of those that goes down to his ankles, dude. Just have him be set up.
Yeah, but great job on this. You haven't really seen much of field goal blocks, anything like that of an issue this year. So Maslowski, they had a lot of good returns on senior night. Seems like Ja'Cory Brooks was the right guy. Should have been back there all year. They were trying to figure that out, mixing and matching guys, but So next clip right here is going to be able to show a play that really hosed us. The body, am I wrong, guys? The body counts as an extension of the ball right here, and they're in the end zone.
That's not what they say the rule is.
I remember
so frustrating.
Like what? 2 years ago, I think college football changed the rule where the ball is considered downed as soon as a defensive player gets possession of it. Because I remember when the rule came out thinking, oh, that's kind of lame. That takes away the sexy diving into the end zone to try and bat a ball back out. Like it's just get possession and then you can slide and drag in. I didn't think he had possession until he was in. I clearly was not in the ACC officiating corner. So
my notes right here, if you could see the presenter notes, say ACC refs can't help themselves.
So. Right. Anytime it goes to a review, it's an instant. Like, how can we make Louisville look bad on this? I mean, every single time.
Agree completely. Next clip is going to show 55 right here, and the other interior lineman can't get his number. It was just they ate our lunch on this play. This is one of the few piss poor plays the offensive line had on the night. Next clip's going to show kind of where they're at. Yeah, he I mean, point of attack right here. He just ate.
Fitzsimmons is good, man. He's really good.
He
was probably one of the only few Pitt players that had a good game defensively.
You know what I think's not good? Hit the next clip, Keith. Celebrating up 37-9. Fucking loser. Next clip.
Hey, you're being mean to him. He's gonna put a comment in that blue Voss.
I'm terrified.
And he's gonna send you a DM on Twitter asking you to take your tweet down.
Hey, that is still one of the funniest things ever the Bring Brom Home guy ever did. Like, that is hands down one of the funniest things. Ashton, another great sack right here. He digs his inside shoulder right into the middle chest plate of the tackle. In the next clip, is able to show the next one. Keith, I think I have one. Yeah, sheds the block. And next one, I think that might be it. Yeah, nope. Sack. It is just beautiful. I mean, his rushes, whenever he's put in a one-on-one instance, have really elevated these past couple games, which is nice to see.
It was very happy to see how he was able to get off the edge, make plays. Like, in this situation where he's kind of ripping through as an offensive tackle, you're basically screwed, and all you can try to do at this point is just run upfield with him. It doesn't look like this backup tackle for Pitt is exactly the most mobile guy on the planet. So, easy lunch for Ashton.
That's a saloon door right there, man. That's the old school Cole Bentley.
Hey, bro, and again, the angle that Ashton has to take. So they do this drill whenever they're in one-on-ones. Keith knows what it is, I'm sure, where it's all 5 of the offensive linemen, and it's like they're pointing at the offensive tackle and the defensive end, and they're like, you two are going one-on-one against each other. Center snaps the ball. There's usually a GA back there running quarterback. So whenever a lot of times the tackle pushes the defensive end all the way past, what they teach them in that one-on-one instance in practice is to hit your foot, is to plant, and sprint right back down towards the line of scrimmage. For this instance, Ashton's shown it twice in game while they do that at practice. So for me, there's multiple plays that I've been like, wow, that's practice correlating into the game, it's really cool. I'm sure the coaches are having a field day with this game as well. Next clip, bad ball. Gotta execute better, Pitt. I mean, this is just a bad ball, and Thornton makes a play on it. This is one of those where it's don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it. And he makes a good play. For me, guys, next clip, that's all I got on the last home game. So
hell yeah, man.
Oh, I didn't even know that graphic was supposed to happen. Do that again.
Animation?
Do that again. Do that again. I didn't even know that was happening. Look at this.
Look at Keith. Wow, look at Vince.
I'm not just a football guy.
That is he's a PowerPoint guy, man.
Yep. But this one was fun. This one was fun to look through, guys. There were a lot of good plays. Like I said, there were a lot of plays where me, as somebody who's been a part of collegiate practices, that you see practice correlating into game, and you're like, damn, that's awesome. That's cool. You love to see stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. And kind of sets us up here perfectly as we transition into a very quick Sack King race update, because we've been waiting for this moment. I think it was Vince 3 or 4 weeks ago said that there was going to be a point in time where Ashton Gelati just had a day and got back into the lead. And that is exactly what happened here. And fellas, we have a 2-player race. We are down to the final 2 games, 2 players, 0.5 sacks separating us here. Jared Dawson, I'm not certain we're going to see him again this season. We'll wait and see. The player availability from Rocco this week just said Jared Dawson was out. We'll see if that continues. But for now, assuming that Jared Dawson does not return, or maybe he does return and play some more snaps, but it's going to come down to Ashton and Trammell. And in my opinion, I think this is going to set up Ashton for another 2 or 3 sack week coming up against Kentucky. I just feel like he's going to be hot, keep that momentum running. Really putting on a display hopefully against an SEC offensive line.
Yeah, it's a hell of a lot better offensive line that we're going to be going up against this weekend. So
that's right,
I hope it'd be great.
That's right. Right. But that's where, if you're a big time player and you want to bounce back from the lull of maybe scouts just looking at your numbers and, not being necessarily super impressed, you come back, you get a 2-sack week against Pittsburgh. Again, granted, injured offensive line, but do it again against Kentucky. Get to 6.5, get to 7.5. Let's see what we can do. And then, I think we've had this conversation between us in the text message, but that the bowl game, I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see Ashton take that one out and just prepare for the combine and hopefully a Senior Bowl or whatever else is in front of him from a draft perspective. But Sack King race, it's going to be interesting. I mean, all Trammell has to do is just hope Ashton gets shut out and he gets one and he wins. Like, I mean, that would be the odds definitely were not in his favor to start the season, but that 2-sack race or that 2-sack get off against Austin P week 1 really set
that
it
helps,
up,
man. I mean, dude, Ashton's really showing his, like I said, the game notes, his ability in the one-on-one instances, and we've mentioned how banged up Pitt's offensive line was in this game. This isn't the big blue wall whenever I was in college, where it's 5 of the guys are likely going to play in the NFL, and it's they're still really good offensive line, but you can really make your name in this game and send a statement to NFL scouts that you've arrived by doing it to an SEC opponent.
Yeah, well, one of my favorite spots where I get to make my own statements with our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. The college football season, it's creeping towards the end, fellas. And that means we've got to treasure every second left of football that we have for the remainder of this season. Because before you blink, we'll be counting down the days until the end of August, early September again. And one of the best ways to maximize every moment left of this college football season is by making picks with our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is the best place to cash in this football season. All the diehard fans make predictions, so why not cook up your own entries to win real money? Make entries in just a few taps, picking higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, interceptions, and touchdowns. I had a few picks lined up for this weekend, and it's always the last one, and I'm too stubborn to take the flex option. So, like Tyler Shuck, he took care of me with the higher than passing yard total. I was great. The Louisville defense, they took care of me. Desmond Reed, I was worried at the start of the game, but his rushing lower than total, it came through for me, but they were just a little too dominant. So Ja'Cory Brooks, like he's an automatic 85, 90 yard game guy. Normally the total was, I believe, at 91.5 yards this week. So I take the higher than on Ja'Cory Brooks because he's a walk-in C note for receiving yards. And we were just a little too dominant, so we didn't have to get him the ball as much. So
that's right.
That's why you always got to flex, Keith. I'm a big
gotta flex, man.
Big flex guy if I'm going underdog. For sure.
I like taking daddy hacks, big swings for big rewards. So
you got that Matt McGavick sized ego over there, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And you can say that because he won't listen.
I was Icarus. I flew too close to the sun and crashed down to earth. So, but 1 or 2 more passes Ja'Cory Brooks' way, and I would have been winning big. But them's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But what red-blooded American football fan doesn't enjoy seeing their favorite players getting into the end zone? And with Red Zone Rush, just pick whether or not a player will score a touchdown by swiping right for yes and left for no. Simple as that. Plus, your entry will be automatically boosted, and you'll get a 51% profit boost when you play. So, join over 5 million fans that are already playing on Underdog with their Pick'em game. You can win money by making entries with your favorite players. Download the app today and use code PINKSEATS to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, download the Underdog app and at sign up, use promo code PINKSEATS to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Select higher or lower on your favorite players and cash in on Underdog. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York. Call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Thanks, Underdog Fantasy.
That's my favorite part. Whenever Keith reads out the places that he should help, just because it's so fast and it's so odd. If I close my eyes, he sounds like one of the generic brand people. It's beautiful.
So I got cooked last week because I was talking, and one of the stats I dove into on the preview show was my critiques with the pregame, like the in-game scripting. And I'm sitting here cooking like, I think I'm going to try and find somewhere where I can place under wager on Louisville first quarter point total under. And literally the first text to one of my buddies, and I was talking about the research, he just replied in all caps, Call the hotline, Keith.
Right.
I'm like,
That's
that man
right.
didn't know that I was wagering on U18 Cricket World Cup during the pandemic, man.
Oh my God.
We've come a long way, man. Well, I'm glad that my friends over at Underdog Fantasy are providing those helpful hotlines just in case Keith or anyone else needs them. But yeah, let's transition here as we get to the back half of the show. And before we hand out game balls and helmet stickers and get out of here, let's go around the ACC in 60 seconds. It was an eventful weekend. We got a clinched ACC championship now, or championship game, so we'll know who'll be playing in Charlotte. But Keith, give us the update on what else happened around the ACC.
Yeah, so we got things started on a Thursday night this week, and while you all were being NFL hardos watching the snow game between Cleveland and Pittsburgh, I was locked into a titanic struggle of two guys that could be problems for the conference for years to come. So with that, it carried all the way through till we actually wrapped up at a relatively decent hour on Saturday, so didn't have to stay up too terribly late. I did anyway because Formula One race was at 1 a.m. on Sunday, so I'm a gremlin. What can I say? But enough about that.
Push.
It's time. Hey, that's a plug for us. Now, you know one thing they do, though, when they get in those fast cars, they buckle up because it's time to go around the ACC in 60-ish seconds. Thursday night was a titanic battle of two phenomenal freshman quarterbacks, and this first matchup of Philo v. Bailey comes down to a 58-yard field goal that is pulled just wide left as Georgia Tech survives the pack. Miami was pissed after that first loss last week, and Wake Forest got to receive the bad end of that beatdown. Know what the S in SMU stands for? Statement win against Virginia. Clemson and Florida State both got to play the role of big bad bully as they defeated their respective FCS East opponents. We got a Big East matchup that took me back to my youth in the mid-2000s as Kyle McCord throws for 470 and Syracuse gets the win at home against UConn. Sleepy Mac stayed up past his bedtime last weekend, and because of that, he was a little grumpy and wasn't ready for the beating that Bill O'Brien and Boston College had waiting for him. Speaking of beatings, eat shit Pitt. Cards win a laugher. Duke and Virginia Tech battled back and forth, and the Hokies make things very interesting late, but the Devils survive. And finally, in the classic ACC rivalry, the big game. Stanford jumps out to an early lead, but the Cal Golden Bears kept chipping away, and with the game on the line, Jonathan Mendoza goes 98 yards with his boys to take the win late.
Incredible.
It's a good Mendoza shout out.
Anybody else have Duke going 8-3 so far on the season, man? I mean, shit.
I didn't know they played football.
That's right. They're doing pretty damn good over there, man. I mean, it's been a year.
You know what? I will give them a compliment, or not a compliment. I thought it was funny when their quarterback flicked off the crowd.
Oh, Malik. Yeah, he was a dog from Texas. That's why he still got that edge. Duke hasn't sucked it out of him yet.
Yeah, right. Seriously. Yeah. Wait till he has one conversation with Christian later. Go ahead, Jacob.
Let's jump into game balls and helmet stickers because it was as I mentioned, a jam-packed weekend for Louisville football with a lot of guys really standing out in this one. And so that Vince doesn't steal mine, I'm going to go first this time.
Yeah, you guys should go first. I haven't even looked at the notes.
Okay, good. Well, you won't be able to take mine since, remember, the rules here are no repeats. You want to make sure that we can honor three different players that stood out in this one. I'm going to go with Stan Clark, guys, because you really needed that defensive player to kind of bring the edge and have that mentality of we're going to get over the hump and get past what happened against Stanford. And Stanquan Clark really led by example in this one. 7 tackles, 3 solo, gets him to second on the team in tackles now. It's been a back and forth battle with him and TJ Quinn, but second in his sophomore season. 2 interceptions in this one now brings him up to being tied for the lead on the team in interceptions with Corey Thornton. 2 picks on the season, 2 in this game. Both of them come at a very critical time, saving Louisville from, some disastrous moments, right? You have the plays that lead up to Louisville getting that one on that first drive, and then the second one coming off of the mistake down on your own side of the football. So you love to see that. On your side of the football field. Second highest graded defensive player behind Ashton Gelati, according to PFF. And in my opinion, easily the best / hardest hit of the season by a Louisville football player. Probably wins the hit of the year if that was an award. So shout out to him. He gets the.
It will be at the Freakies, so don't worry.
That's right. There we go.
That'll be in the preseason hype reel.
Yes,
for next season.
Go ahead, Keith. I don't want to steal anybody else's player.
Well, see, this was a game where we had so many good performances. It'll be easy to come up with one on the fly. But I'm going to go a little bit off the board here because statistically it wasn't the most impressive performance. But Quatarius Hicks, Blue Hicks, fantastic game for the young fella. 6 catches for 63 yards. And my favorite thing about his game, he's a gritty player. Like, he's getting down. He's not afraid to run block. It's almost like he's learned a lot from Ja'Cory Brooks. And he's sort of bringing that similar edge to his game with willingness to run block. And then also, he always takes more than one guy to tackle him. He never goes down at first contact. He either makes a man miss or stays up and keeps his legs driving and makes teams get together and try to help to take him down. And he really put that on display in this game. So Blue Hicks gets my game ball.
No, he was 6 of 6 in terms of targets to catches. And then my favorite stat for him was he had 41 yards after catch, which was only second on the team to Chris Bell. But Chris Bell had 65 on his one play, right? So for Hicks, I mean, he was really catching the ball and then making plays in space. And that they've desperately needed that since Lacey's been out at that slot position.
I kind of want to go defense because we have 2 offensive players that we've gone with now. Is that what did you go offense?
Saquon.
You did Saquon? Okay. All right,
he had the ball in his hands enough. You might think he's an offensive player.
Hey, man, put him back there in the backfield.
I just, for whatever reason, I thought you went offense. I was just blanking out, but I'm going to go with the offensive line. Okay, they had over 200 yards rushing, close to 300 yards passing. That's a hell of a day as an offensive line unit. We saw multiple pictures in the game notes where it was just picture perfect pocket. Kudos to Richard Owens over there. Kudos to the entire offensive line. Great job in the game prep, boys.
Yeah. 1 sack in 4 games, man. I think that will do. That's honestly fantastic.
Yeah.
And when
Tyler Shuck is taking them to Jeff Ruby's this week.
That he better be, man. Take them to the Galt House at least. I don't know if y'all saw that video over the weekend. Get him out there to the whatever the name of the restaurant is that rotates. That place is freaking dope, Tyler. Take them up there and feed them boys because when you look at Tyler's numbers this year as a quarterback and you think of all that he's been through injury-wise, for him to only have been sacked 14 times this season is pretty impressive considering Louisville has kind of had to tape an offensive line together at times because of injuries.
Well, that combined with
thank you, God.
Right. Well, that combined with the caliber of opponents we've been playing as well. Like, we haven't been playing slouches.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, no sacks against Clemson. I'll take it, man. That's a huge statistic you can hang your hat on. Okay, so we handed out our game balls, so we'll go helmet stickers here, rapid fire. Guys, feel free to jump in if you have anything. I've got a couple listed here, but feel free if we've got any others that I didn't mention. Brock Travelstead, as I mentioned earlier, 2 of 2 on senior day. Love to see it. Need the undershirt to be sponsored by them Franchise Boys or somebody from 2000s rap. Ben Perry got the PI in coverage, but had a great pass breakup and really had a fantastic game, was all over the place. Considering that neck injury a couple of weeks ago, love to see him back and in an active role. Celebrated on senior day. I think we've unfortunately probably seen the last of Ben Perry in a Louisville uniform at home if he does play college football next year. But nonetheless, love to see him going out strong with a big game. Guys, I think that Antonio Watts has become my favorite player on this defense. He is so much fun to watch. Him and D'Angelo Hutchinson are tone setters. They are both thumpers. A little bit reckless at times. Got to improve some of the, just being able to read and react. But I love the two of them, the aggression that they play with. Antonio Watts is so much fun. And then I've got Nate Kriske here. I think that when you talk about a guy,
that's sneaky. I like that one, Jacob. I love that one, actually.
Well, it's more of a narrative. I'm a narrative guy. When you talk about a guy that was behind Jamari Johnson after really being like the tight end last year, post Jamari's injury, he has really stepped up, not only as a catcher, but also as a blocker. Like I think you could make the argument he might be our H-back next year full time. He's a great blocker. I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do to replace Dwayne, but I love to see him being able to get into the passing game. He's had a couple of big catches the last 2 games. Just love to see it. So shout out to Nate Dogg.
Vince, you got a couple before I throw a few off of my notes? Just
I said last week on the Wednesday show, please, Ryan English don't make me look stupid, and Ryan English did not make me look stupid this week, so I got to give Ryan English one of my helmet stickers, man. 9 points, that's a pretty solid fucking game. So kudos.
And the offense gave up 2 of those.
Yes,
that's right.
So.
That's right. I wanted that shutout, but yeah, love to see it.
All right. So a couple of chalk picks just to throw on, because just because you're a good player all the time doesn't mean you shouldn't be rewarded. Ja'Cory Brooks, 4 catches, 68 yards, touchdown, 3 punt returns for 37 yards, helmet sticker, attaboy. Ashton got home twice, big game when we needed it. That's an attaboy helmet sticker. Tyler Shuck, ho-hum day at the office, throwing for 293 yards on, I believe it was only 17 completed passes. 2 touchdowns, no picks, helmet sticker. I'm being generous. So the freshman running back trio, all 3 of them are getting helmet stickers. Isaac.
Wow. Is this positive, Keith?
I know, right? It is a possible thing. Isaac, 13 carries for 93 and 2 tuds. He's only 64 yards away from Lamar Jackson's freshman rushing yards record, stat via Matt McGavick. So if he has a big game against Kentucky, we could see that record falling. Duke Watson, also 11 carries for a very nice 69 yards on the day. And then Kewan Brown, the guy who's kind of hasn't been getting as much shine as the other 2. Honestly, one of my favorite running backs, just because when he does get the ball, he's so damn violent with it. I love it. 6 carries, 35 yards, and he just beats the hell out of dudes. Like, I love seeing him come in late into games when defenses are worn out and tired. I could see him being like, for lack of a term, the breaker. Like, okay, you're just going to go in and break these linebackers. They're worn out. They're tired. They don't want to get hit by a hard running back anymore. Blow them up.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that I could see going either way this year or this offseason with being a transfer, but love to see him get in the game. They've done a good job of being able to get these guys in and out and being able to play 4 or 5 running backs and kind of find a role for each of them. So shout out to them. That's a lot of guys to get carries. So let's transition. Let's quickly put a bow on the episode and talk UK just for a moment. This is not the typical UK team that Louisville will face this weekend in terms of record. 4-7 on the year, 1-7 in conference, with really only one good win all season coming against Ole Miss. Their other wins against Southern Mississippi, Ohio, and Murray State. So really not much to hang their hats on here. The quarterback situation has been kind of like similar to Louisville last season with Jack Plummer, but maybe even much worse with Brock Vandergriff. And now, you've had Gavin Wimsatt playing some, and now Cutter Boley is the guy. It seems like that they're thinking maybe is their savior, this local Kentucky guy from the Boones is coming in.
Vandergriff is on a lot of my TikTok ads. He advertises something he did some partnership, and it is just so funny to see him. I'm sorry, but it's so funny to see him get cooked in the comments on that. Like,
it's unfortunate. That's
the downside of it
these days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember thinking that with like Plumbers playing it. I was like, oh man.
Oh no, Cutter. I hardly know her.
Yeah, right.
Put Cutter in.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Their quarterback situation though, just some numbers for you: 13 touchdowns, 14 interceptions combined between the 3 quarterbacks this season.
You know what I see this
Go ahead.
When I see this Kentucky team, I see a lot of what Louisville was last year. They have a good offensive line. They have some talent at the skill positions. Like, they haven't been able to get a lot of opportunities, but like Dane Key's a good ball player. They've got a couple of good running backs. They've got a very stout defense, but the quarterback play has been the anchor on that team. So I wish they would have let the vet play one last game. Them going with Cutter Boley, if that is who they choose to start for this game. I'm like, God, come on, just give Brock one more game.
Right. One more game. He's coaching to save his job. They're not going to fucking pay that buyout.
Look, man, that's the big storyline heading into this one. Like, the UK fans are ready for Mark Stoops to be out of town. Mark Stoops is ready for Mark Stoops to be out of town. What is going to happen here? I mean, if Kentucky comes in and if Louisville comes in and puts an ass whooping, I think that gets Kentucky to write a check much quicker. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Mark Stoops, because there's no Texas A&M this offseason. There's nobody calling Mark saying, we want you to come to town after a 4-7 year where you go 1-7 in the conference.
Florida ain't
Nick,
an
you're
option,
saved
and
his
it
job.
doesn't look like Florida State is going to be an option either. I bet they're going to ride with Mike Norvell for one more year at least,
Well,
right?
shit. I mean,
they went undefeated with him the year before last. Like one
Right.
bad year does not
And
a 10-year make.
You've heard people mention maybe Iowa, because that's his alma mater. But like, I mean, again, Kirk Ferentz is as much shit as you want to give him for the fact that they've not been able to score more than 25 points a game for 30 years. I mean, he seems like he's got a lifetime contract there. At least he's got another couple of years. So there's no job for Stoops to land at. I don't know how Kentucky brings him back. I really don't.
So it might be a case of stepping down for a less pressurized gig, possibly. Like I was just going through and taking a peek at some of the open jobs that are currently available.
Will not
but
let him do that. He's got
well, also the commas and zeros on the paycheck. Like you best believe if Kentucky is willing to pay that buyout, I'd be calling Boca. Like, yeah, I'll go retire and coach here.
Right.
Get one last score.
I'll be calling my brothers saying, "Where are we playing golf at? What are we doing, boys?"
Right.
Now you got to get one more big score on the way out, Vince. We had this conversation via text.
Right.
And the name that Kentucky fans are clamoring for. Keith, you probably do.
Summerall.
Your football. Yeah, Summerall. I mean, I don't know how. I don't know if he would leave Tulane after 1 year. I assume the answer is yes to go to the SEC. I mean, you know how it is. Some coaches
alma mater.
Okay, right, exactly. But still, I mean, it's just going to be really interesting to see what they do when they have a coach like that.
Not saying Satterfield was a mistake, but like, you don't want to be caught in that like that. But Kentucky, I don't know.
They could end up getting who can be their Cincinnati. That's what they're asking right now. Who will be our Cincinnati? Sure. Who will come in and say, "Well, we'll pay part of that buyout. Yeah. We'll do something."
A team that jumped to mind for me on this. Sleepy Mac Brown said that he was going to keep coach, like he was willing to keep coaching the North Carolina job after this year.
Yeah, whatever puppet controls him.
Right.
I don't know if North Carolina wants Mac Brown to keep doing the North Carolina job. So they might.
They need to find themselves a Kamala Harris and just get Mac out of there. Is what I'm hearing. Is that what I'm hearing?
So
they're going to keep him and they're going to give him an offense and let him just. Oh, it's okay, Mac. We play Miami next week. It's okay.
So I could see them having a conversation with Mac, and then maybe he has a change of heart and retires at the end of the year. And then you never know. There's a coach that's currently in Cincinnati who's been trying to get closer to home. Maybe late in the cycle, North Carolina sees a head coach available that maybe a school would be flexible about a buyout option on if they want to get an open coach. Wow. Stoops gets to go more north back into Ohio where he does a lot of his recruiting. Sat gets to go back home to North Carolina finally after his pilgrimage.
Yeah, Keith has a whole parallel universe where this works
I've got the Charlie.
Charlie going on right now. Right,
he's sitting there like,
yeah. I don't know. Miami of Ohio might have a job opening. Youngstown State. I mean, let's just keep naming all the Ohio schools. Maybe he'll end up in one of those, man.
I'm sure St. Edwards is going to be looking for a head coach eventually. He can take
exactly
and do that.
Well, look, I know you guys are going to get into all of this later on in the week, but I will say this team, they haven't beaten them in 5 years. Louisville hasn't. It's still very much, despite the fact that they're 4-7, expect to get the best version of Kentucky this week and expect them to show up with a chip on their shoulder, trying to start fights, trying to be, the emotional antagonist of this one and get it under Louisville's skin. They do have a pretty good offensive line. So I think that all of that stuff, really still matters in this one. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. But we'll go ahead. We'll get out of here. Jacob Lane, producer Keith Vince Lococo from the Pink Seats podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Tune in midweek for the preview episode. And I will see you all next weekend, hopefully following Louisville victory. And until then, go Cards.
Hold on. That would be our first UK dub podcast as a show.
That's right.
We'd have to celebrate that. Now you can close it out.
We're going streaking, baby. That's what I hear. We'll see you naked after the game. Go Cards.